Time now for Sid at 6-0. This is where I got 60 seconds to talk with my face. Start the clock, please. Here's what's on my mind this morning. The situation between Canada Soccer and our national teams is right now awful. A scathing report regarding Canada Soccer's finances was dropped this week by Rick Westhead. Neither the women's or men's side have a deal cut in terms of how to split World Cup revenue. It's a mess. But for the moment, I want to focus on a positive that recently happened, and we can't just gloss over it because it's become routine. Qualifying for a World Cup is never routine. For an 8th straight time, our Canadian women clinched a World Cup berth last week against Panama at the CONCACAF Women's Championship. World Cup happens next summer in Australia and New Zealand. Our Canadian women are reigning Olympic gold medalists, and with a mix of legends like Christine Sinclair and young stars like you're seeing here, like Julia Grosso, who's phenomenal. They are going there with one goal in mind, to win, and they deserve to be compensated for that ambition. James Sharman from the Parlay is joining us. Sharman, great to see you, brother. You know I love you. I'm going to back off. I'm just going to ask you two things and you can go. The current state of finances with the CSA and our national teams, what's your latest take there? And a little praise for our women's program again, who won the semifinal at the CONCACAF Championships last night. They played the States Monday. They continue to keep it rolling. Go ahead.
Yeah. Firstly, so thank you for reflecting on the positive of Canadian soccer, because people love to hammer this sport in this country still. The mainstream media love to hammer it when things go badly and when there's controversies. But to focus on the pitch right now, it's a great thing. The women's team are playing some wonderful football to get to where they're at. As far as where they're at off the field right now, they're still talking. I thought it was positive that the statement that came out this week was both the women's and the men's team together, because there's been some animosity between the two teams over recent months and years, right? So they're now together. Now it's down to Canada Soccer to get together with them and get this thing ironed out, and they will at some point. But there's a lot of mudslinging right now. It's not positive, but it's gone very quiet, aside from this week, as far as actual negotiating tactics and negotiations. So we'll see what happens there. They'll get it ironed out eventually, hopefully, but they're not pleasant negotiations, put it that way. But yeah, the team's playing great football, got to the final again of the CONCACAF Women's Championship without conceding a single goal. Christine Sinclair's still doing it, still scoring goals, while there's youth behind us coming up and playing some really good football. You mentioned Julia Grosso, who's been wonderful in this tournament so far. Things are positive. They beat the World Cup. They're playing the States, the hated rival, for the first time since the Olympic semi-final when Canada beat them 1-0. So this tournament, it's fun to watch. We're seeing these young players emerge. We're seeing this team continue their trend from the Olympics when they won the gold medal, get into the World Cup, where they'll be a contender once again. And listen, Sid, you know this, the women's game is getting huge right now. Big nations are now finally taking it seriously, so it's going to be tougher in the future for Canada. So to get to these tournaments right now the way they are, it's wonderful, and it should be a great experience next year in Australia and New Zealand.
Here, here. And I'm watching a bit of the European women's Euros going on right now. Look, there's some good teams there. Canada can hang with anybody. Like we got a real shot to. We're talking semis, maybe final of that tournament. I think our team is that good. James, love you, brother. Take